Somewhere beyond the town wall, an owl calls. But in here, time moves differently, measured in loaves shaped, pages turned, and stitches pulled. Tonight we walk the streets and halls of the 9th century. For a scholar's day at the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, let the centuries fall away, sink gently into your pillow, the day is done and you are safe to rest. Let your eyelids grow pleasantly heavy. This is quiet history. Let us begin. The sun retreats behind the jagged, dusty silhouette of the city, leaving a trail of bruised purple and amber across the sprawling sky. In the cooling atmosphere, the bustling streets of Baghdad find a rare moment of peace as the clamor of the coppersmiths and the shouting of the spice merchants fades into a low, distant hum. You stand on a balcony, watching the transition of the light as it catches the domes of a dozen mosques, turning them into glowing embers against the rising dimness. The heat that pressed against the earth all day is finally lifting, replaced by a soft, moving current of air that tastes of the desert and the river. You approach the great gate of the House of Wisdom, where the scent of cedar wood and old parchment drifts on the evening breeze. The stone beneath your feet remains warm from the afternoon heat, a lingering reminder of the sun's strength now passing into memory. This portal, decorated with intricate patterns of blue and gold tile, stands as a gateway to the collective knowledge of many lands and eras. Your footsteps on the polished limestone are soft, almost hushed, as if the building itself demands a certain reverence from all who enter its halls. Within the central courtyard, the pulse of the city is replaced by the delicate, persistent trickle of water from a wide stone fountain. Orange trees, laden with ripening fruit, cast long, spindly shadows against the geometric tiles, their leaves rustling like 1,000 whispered secrets in the wind. The architecture here is designed for contemplation, with deep arches and shaded walkways that offer a sanctuary from the frantic energy of the marketplace. You pause for a moment, letting the stillness of the garden wash over you, clearing the clutter of the day from your mind. You watch a single dried leaf drift across the mirror-like face of the water basin, its movements slow and deliberate in the fading light. The water is cool when you dip your fingers in, a refreshing contrast to the dry warmth that still persists on your skin after the day's journey. Small birds flit between the branches of the fruit trees, their chirping growing softer as they seek their nests for the evening. The symmetry of the garden, with its fourfold path and central spring, reflects a sense of order that mirrors the logic you seek in your studies. Entering the main hall, the atmosphere shifts to one of profound quiet, where the only noise is the distant, measured scrape of a reed pen against paper. The high, vaulted ceilings disappear into the dimness above, held up by columns of polished marble that gleam in the soft, flickering light of oil lamps. There is a weighted quality to the silence here, as if the millions of words contained within these walls are exerting a gentle pressure on the atmosphere. You breathe in the scent of the library, a complex aroma of beeswax, old leather, and the faint, sweet smell of drying ink. A librarian moves past you with a graceful, silent gait, his robes sweeping softly against the stone floor like the rush of a distant stream. He carries a bundle of scrolls tied with silk ribbons of emerald and crimson, his movements practiced and full of care for the fragile cargo. He offers a slight nod as he passes, a silent acknowledgement of your shared purpose in this temple of human thought and discovery. You follow him with your eyes until he disappears into the labyrinth of shelves, a ghost in the service of memory. You find your way to the Scriptorium, where rows of low, slanted desks are arranged beneath arched windows that catch the last of the lilac twilight. Each station is equipped with a ceramic inkwell, a tray of sharpened reed quills, and a stack of fresh, cream-colored paper made from the finest linen fibers. The room is organized with a mathematical precision, ensuring that every scholar has the light and the tools necessary for their painstaking work. You find your assigned place, the wood of the desk, smooth and cool beneath your palms, worn down by years of leaning and writing. The smell of the Scriptorium is intoxicating, a mixture of lamp oil, fragrant gums, and the sharp metallic tang of iron gall ink. It is a scent that speaks of centuries of labor, of minds reaching across time to touch the thoughts of those who lived in ages long vanished. You can almost feel the presence of the scholars who sat here before you, their dedication woven into the very fabric of the room. It is a place where the distractions of the outside empire do not reach, where the only thing that matters is the clarity of the word. You take your seat, the wooden chair creaking slightly as it accepts your weighted frame, and you feel the familiar calming focus of the scholar. Before you lies a translation of a Greek text on geometry, its characters unfamiliar yet full of potential, waiting to be rendered into the flowing script of Arabic. The parchment feels thick and slightly rough between your fingers, a physical bridge between the mind of a philosopher in Athens and a reader in Baghdad. You spend a few moments simply looking at the page, letting your eyes adjust to the intricate dance of the letters. With a steady hand, you dip your reed pen into the dark well, watching as the liquid clings to the split tip of the nib. The first stroke on the paper is smooth and dark, the ink biting into the fibers with a satisfying, quiet friction that you feel in your fingertips. You work slowly, ensuring that each curve and dot is placed with absolute precision, for a single error could change the meaning of a mathematical proof. The measure of your breathing aligns with the movement of your hand, creating a private world of focus and creation around you. Other scholars are immersed in their own tasks, their faces illuminated by the amber glow of small bronze oil lamps. Some are poring over maps of the stars, their fingers tracing the celestial paths of planets and constellations across the heavens. Others debate the properties of numbers in hushed, melodic tones, their voices never rising above a gentle murmur that blends into the background of the room. It is a community of the mind where the pursuit of truth is a shared and holy endeavor that transcends the individual. In the corner, a young apprentice is carefully grinding pigments in a stone mortar, the steady thud of the pestle acting as a heartbeat for the room. He works with a quiet intensity, his brow furrowed as he creates the vibrant blues and golds that will adorn the margins of a royal codices. The sound of the grinding is a grounding element, a reminder of the physical labor that supports the intellectual life of the House of Wisdom. You watch the powder turn into a rich, deep paste, the color of the midnight sky over the Arabian desert. You turn a page of the time-worn manuscript, the parchment making a soft, dry sound that seems loud in the quiet of the Scriptorium. This book has traveled hundreds of leagues to reach this room, passing through the hands of kings, merchants, and soldiers before finding its sanctuary here. It bears the marks of its journey, a small stain of wine here, a faded note in the margin there, each one a testament to its survival. You treat it with the tenderness one might show a living thing, aware of the fragile thread of history it represents. Outside the window, the evening sky has turned to a deep indigo, and the first stars begin to pierce through the haze of the city's smoke. You think of the astronomers on the flat roof above you, preparing their brass astrolabes to measure the movements of the heavens with mathematical certainty. They are mapping the same stars that guided the caravans across the sand, turning the vastness of the sky into a ledger of predictable patterns. Their work and yours are two sides of the same coin, both seeking to find the underlying order of the universe. The wisdom of the Greeks, the Persians, and the Indians flows through these halls like a river, merging into a single great stream of understanding. Here there are no borders of geography or language, only the endless pursuit of the truths that govern the empire and the stars. You feel a sense of pride to be a small part of this grand project, a link in a chain of knowledge that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. Every sentence you translate is a gift to the future, a lamp lit for those who will come after you. A servant enters the room with a silent, ghostly presence, placing a small brass tray with a cup of mint tea and a bowl of dates at the edge of your desk. The steam rises in a thin, swirling column, carrying a fragrance that clears your mind and restores your weary spirit after hours of intense concentration. The tea is sweet and hot, the mint cooling your throat and sharpening your senses for the work that remains. You take a slow sip, letting the warmth spread through your chest, and you feel the tension in your shoulders begin to dissolve. You look out at the courtyard once more, where the orange trees are now dark silhouettes against the moonlit walls of the inner sanctum. The garden is a place of silver light and deep shadow, the fountain continuing its endless song in the center of the square. The air is cooler now, carrying the scent of jasmine and damp earth from the flower beds, a reminder of the living world that exists outside the library. It is a moment of perfect peace, a pause in the cycle of the day that feels as though it could last for an eternity. The work is slow, demanding a patience that the outside city rarely understands, yet it is in this measured pace that true clarity is found. Each word translated is a bridge built, a connection made between the past and the unfolding future of this storied golden age. You do not rush, for the truth is not something to be captured in haste, but something to be wooed with careful thought and steady labor. The flickering of the lamp creates dancing shadows on the wall, but your focus remains fixed on the white plane of the paper. As the hour grows late, the scriptorium becomes even more quiet, the light of the lamps beginning to waver as the oil runs low in their reservoirs. You reach for the small ceramic pitcher to refill your lamp, the golden liquid pouring with a soft, glugging noise that echoes in the stillness of the room. The new flame burns brightly, casting a fresh circle of light over your work and chasing away the encroaching shadows. You trim the wick with a pair of silver shears, the small clip sounding like a sharp intake of breath in the silence. The city of Baghdad may be resting beyond these thick walls, but within the house of wisdom, the search for light never truly ends. You pick up your reed pen once more, ready to follow the trail of logic wherever it may lead, as the evening deepens into a profound and scholarly peace. The ink flows easily now, the words coming with a grace that suggests the text itself wants to be understood. You lose track of time, the only reality being the movement of the pen and the unfolding of the thought on the page. Tomorrow will bring new questions and more pages to fill, but for now, the silence of the library is your only companion in the late hour. You lean back for a moment, closing your eyes and letting the weight of the day's discoveries rest within your mind before you continue. The journey through the written word is a long one, but it is a path you walk with a light heart and a steady hand. The echoes of the past are all around you, whispering of the many mysteries that still remain to be solved in the quiet hours ahead. You rise slowly from your stool, the wood creaking in a low, familiar groan that seems to acknowledge your long hours of labor. Your muscles feel weighted, yet there is a lightness in your spirit, born of the progress made upon the parchment. The lamp on your desk flickers one last time, casting a long, wavering shadow across the room before you gently blow it out, leaving only the silver glow of the moon to guide your steps. The hallway outside the scriptorium is a tunnel of cool blue light, where the arched windows frame the stars like precious jewels set in velvet. You walk with a slow, measured pace, feeling the smooth limestone beneath your feet, which retains a hint of the day's warmth. The stillness here is profound, a different kind of silence than the one found in the library, one that feels more alive with the breath of the sleeping city. You turn toward the cartography wing, where the great maps of the known empire are housed and updated by the finest minds of the age. The door swings open with a soft, dry rasp of wood against stone, revealing a room that smells of mineral pigments and sea salt. Long tables of dark oak stretch into the dimness, laden with scrolls that contain the shape of the shores and the height of the mountains. On the nearest table, a map of the Indian Ocean lies unfurled, held flat by 4 polished stones of white marble. The ink is a deep, rich indigo, tracing the jagged lines of coastlines that you have only ever visited in your imagination. You trace a finger just above the surface, following the trade routes that bring spices and silk to the markets of Baghdad, feeling the immense distance expressed in these delicate lines. Beside the map sits a collection of ceramic pots, their lids removed to reveal the vibrant powders used to color the world's geography. There is cinnabar for the cities, lapis lazuli for the deep waters, and malachite for the fertile plains of the river valleys. The scent of these ground earths is sharp and metallic, a reminder of the physical materials required to capture the likeness of the earth. A pair of brass dividers rests nearby, its points sharp and precise, catching a stray beam of moonlight from a high clerestory window. You pick up the tool, feeling the cool weight of the metal in your palm and the smooth action of the hinge as you open it. It is an instrument of logic, a way to bring order to the sprawling reaches of the horizon and to make the far-off places feel tangible. Leaving the maps behind you, move toward the spiral staircase that leads upward to the highest point of the House of Wisdom. The stone steps are narrow and steep, winding tightly around a central pillar of solid masonry that feels like the spine of the building. Each step is a deliberate movement, a gradual ascent away from the concerns of the lower floors and toward the clarity of the open sky. As you emerge onto the roof terrace, the atmosphere shifts, becoming thin and crisp with the chill of the late hour. The city of Baghdad stretches out below you, a sea of flat roofs and flickering torches, but your eyes are drawn upward to the celestial canopy. Here the stars are not merely points of light, but a complex language that the scholars have spent centuries learning to read. In the center of the terrace stands the great brass astrolabe, a masterpiece of engineering that reflects the movements of the heavens. Its many plates are engraved with fine silver lines, representing the paths of the planets and the positions of the fixed stars. You touch the outer rim, the metal feeling cold and damp with the evening dew, yet radiating a sense of timeless permanence. You peer through the sighting tube of a smaller instrument, aligning the crosshairs with a bright, steady light in the northern sky. The measurement is a slow process, requiring a steady hand and a patient heart to wait for the exact moment of alignment. The data you gather tonight will be added to the tables that help travelers find their way across the deserts and the seas, serving as a guide for those who move in the dark. The breeze up here is constant, a soft murmur that tugs at your robes and carries the faint, sweet smell of the Tigris River. It is a lonely place, yet you feel a deep connection to the many observers who have stood on this very spot over the decades. Their notes and calculations are the foundation upon which you build, a lineage of curiosity that stretches back to the very dawn of the Caliphate. You spend a long moment simply looking out over the parapet, watching the way the moon reflects off the turquoise domes of the distant mosques. The city is quiet, the bustle of the markets replaced by the occasional bark of a dog or the distant call of a night watchman. It is a time for reflection, a chance to see the empire as a single breathing entity, unified by the knowledge gathered within these walls. Descending back into the heart of the building, you find yourself drawn toward the pharmacy and medical wing. This area is characterized by a different scent, a thick and heady mixture of dried chamomile, crushed mint and bitter wormwood. The walls are lined with jars of green glass and glazed pottery, each containing a remedy for the many ailments that afflict the human body. You pass a long bench where a mortar and pestle of heavy basalt sit, the interior of the bowl stained with the residue of ground roots. The work here is as meticulous as your own, requiring a precise knowledge of the natural world and the hidden properties of plants. Every leaf and seed is a potential cure, a small piece of a larger puzzle that the physicians seek to solve. In a corner, a collection of medical scrolls is stored in chests of fragrant cedar, protected from the moisture and the insects. These texts contain the wisdom of the Greeks, the Indians and the Persians, all translated and refined by the scholars of Baghdad. You run your hand over the smooth wood of the chests, thinking of the lives that have been saved by the information held within these simple containers. The corridors are even more silent now. As you move back toward the central courtyard, your shadow stretching long and thin across the tiles. The fountain in the center is a silver thread in the moonlight, its pulse a steady, comforting presence in the heart of the sanctum. You stop to splash a little of the cool water on your face, the moisture shocking your skin and clearing the lingering fog of your fatigue. The garden around the fountain is a place of peace, where the shadows of the pomegranate trees create a complex pattern on the ground. You sit for a moment on a stone bench, letting the stillness of the place wash over you and the weight of your thoughts ease. The work of a scholar is never truly finished, but there are moments of rest that are necessary for the mind to remain sharp and the heart to remain dedicated. You think of the morning to come, when the house of wisdom will once again be filled with the voices of students and the clatter of the Scriptorium. There will be debates in the lecture halls and new shipments of books arriving from the far corners of the empire, each one a treasure to be explored. But for now, the library belongs to the night and to those few who find their greatest clarity in the hours of shadow. You stand and begin the final walk toward your sleeping quarters, located in a quiet corner of the complex away from the main thoroughfares. Your room is small and simple, containing only a bed, a chest for your few belongings, and a small desk where you keep your personal notes. It is a sanctuary within a sanctuary, a place where you can finally let go of the day's inquiries and find the restorative power of sleep. As you reach your door, you look back one last time at the long, dark hallway that leads back to the heart of the library. The knowledge you have tended today is safe, tucked away in the scrolls and the maps that wait for the touch of a new day. You enter your room and close the door. The soft click of the latch sounding a final note of completion as you prepare to rest before the cycle of discovery begins anew. The small wooden door of your chamber remains ajar for a moment, letting in the faint, cool draft from the hallway. You decide, instead of resting, to climb the narrow spiral stairs that lead to the upper terrace. Each step is made of smooth, cool limestone, worn slightly in the center by the passage of many feet over the years. The climb is slow, a deliberate movement that mirrors the quiet state of your mind. As you reach the top, the door opens onto a wide, flat roof, where the sky opens up in a display of shimmering light. Baghdad lies below you, a sea of flat roofs and rounded domes, all bathed in the pale glow of the moon. The city is hushed, the bustling markets and crowded streets of the afternoon now reduced to a soft, distant murmur. You can see the dark ribbon of the Tigris River winding through the landscape, its face reflecting the stars like a mirror of the heavens. The atmosphere here is different from the library below, more open and filled with the scent of the desert and the river. In the center of the terrace stands the great brass astrolabe, a masterpiece of engineering that allows the scholars to track the movements of the celestial bodies. You walk toward it, your footsteps making a soft, rhythmic tap on the stone floor. The metal is cool to the touch, its surface engraved with intricate lines and symbols that represent the known universe. You adjust the dial with a gentle hand, the gears moving with a satisfying muted click that echoes in the stillness. This instrument is a bridge between the earth and the sky, a tool that turns the light of the stars into numbers and charts. You spend a long time looking through the sight, aligning the device with the position of a distant planet. The precision required for this work is immense, demanding a focus that pushes all other thoughts from your mind. There is a profound sense of peace in this task, a feeling of being connected to something much larger than yourself. Around the astrolabe, several tables are covered with star charts and scrolls, held down by small lid weights to prevent them from blowing away. You pick up a piece of parchment, its face covered in delicate ink drawings of the constellations. The ink is dark and rich, standing out against the pale cream of the paper. You trace the line of a constellation with your finger, remembering the stories told about these stars by the astronomers of old. To your left, A small oil lamp sits on a stone pedestal, its flame protected from the breeze by a glass chimney. The light it casts is warm and golden, creating a small circle of visibility in the surrounding dimness. You use this light to consult a table of calculations, the numbers written in a neat, disciplined hand. Every figure represents hours of observation and thought, a collective effort to understand the laws that govern the motion of the heavens. Beyond the terrace, the palm trees in the courtyard sway gently in the breeze, their fronds making a dry, rustling noise. The scent of jasmine rises from the gardens below, mixing with the more metallic smell of the brass instruments. You take a deep breath, letting the cool atmosphere fill your lungs and clear your head. The work of the observatory is a quiet, lonely pursuit, but it is one that brings a unique kind of clarity. Further along the roof, a series of smaller instruments are arranged in a row, each one designed for a specific astronomical measurement. There are quadrants and armillary spheres, their concentric rings representing the paths of the sun and the moon. You move from one to the other, checking the alignments and making small adjustments where necessary. The tempo of this work is slow and methodical, a measured dance with the stars. In one corner of the terrace, a large copper water clock marks the passage of time with a steady, dripping pulse. The water falls from a small spout into a basin, the level rising slowly to indicate the hour. This constant liquid cadence is a reminder of the relentless flow of time, a force that even the stars cannot escape. You watch the ripples in the basin for a moment, the reflection of the moon dancing on the surface. As you look back toward the city, you see the silhouettes of the great gates, their massive forms standing as sentinels at the edges of the capital. The empire is vast, stretching across continents and cultures, yet here, in this quiet spot, it feels small and manageable. The knowledge gathered within these walls is a light that reaches far beyond the city limits, illuminating the path for future generations of seekers. You feel a sense of pride in being a part of this tradition, a small link in a long chain of discovery. You turn your attention back to the charts, noting the position of the North Star, the fixed point around which everything else revolves. It is a reliable guide for travelers and sailors, a beacon of stability in an ever-changing landscape. You think of the caravans moving across the desert at this very hour, using these same stars to find their way through the trackless sands. The work you do here has practical applications that touch the lives of countless people, even if they never know your name. A light mist begins to form over the river, a soft white blanket that obscures the far bank. The world feels more enclosed now, the horizon shrinking as the fog thickens. This change in the environment brings a new layer of silence, as if the city itself is being wrapped in cotton. You pull your cloak more tightly around your shoulders, the fabric providing a comfortable layer of warmth against the cooling air. You decide to head back down to the map room, a place where the physical geography of the empire is recorded with the same precision as the stars. The descent is easier than the climb, your feet finding the familiar steps with ease. The air in the lower levels is still and weighted with the smell of old paper and incense. You enter the map room, a large chamber lined with wooden racks that hold hundreds of rolled-up scrolls. One large map is spread out on a central table, showing the trade routes that connect Baghdad to China, India, and the Mediterranean. The parchment is thick and durable, designed to withstand years of handling. You lean over the table, examining the intricate details of the mountain ranges and river systems. The cartographers have used different colors of ink to represent various features, creating a visual tapestry of the known landscape. A small brass compass sits on the corner of the map, its needle pointing steadily toward the north. You nudge the needle with a finger, watching it wobble before returning to its original position. This simple device is a testament to the ingenuity of the human mind, a way to find direction in the middle of a measureless sea or a featureless desert. You think of the explorers who carry such tools into unknown lands, driven by the same curiosity that keeps you awake at this late hour. In the corner of the room, A scribe is working on a new copy of a geographical treatise, his reed pen moving with a soft scratching sound across the page. He does not look up as you enter, his focus entirely on the task at hand. The light from his candle is low, casting long, flickering shadows against the walls. You watch him for a moment, appreciating the discipline and patience required for such meticulous work. The shelves around you are filled with the reports of travelers and the accounts of merchants, each one providing a small piece of information about the distant corners of the empire. You pull a scroll from its rack, the leather binding feeling smooth and cool in your hand. This particular text describes the flora and fauna of the southern islands, a place of exotic plants and strange animals. You read a few lines, the descriptive language painting a vivid picture of a landscape you will likely never see in person. The map room is a place of quiet contemplation, where the scale of the empire is made visible and tangible. You spend some time organizing the scrolls, ensuring that each one is in its proper place. This task is a form of service to the scholars who will come after you, making it easier for them to find the information they need. The order of the library is a reflection of the order of the universe, a system where everything has its place. You move toward the window, looking out into the central courtyard one last time. The fountain is still visible, its silver thread of water a constant presence in the darkness. The garden is a place of deep shadows and hidden corners, a sanctuary of peace in the heart of the city. You feel a sense of completion, as if the day's work has finally reached its natural conclusion. The walk back to your quarters is short. The hallway is now completely empty and silent. You enter your room and finally close the door, the soft click of the latch marking the end of your night's excursions. The memory of the stars and the maps stays with you as you prepare for rest, a comforting reminder of the beauty and complexity of the world you inhabit. You lie down on your bed, the weight of your body pressing into the mattress, and let the quiet of the House of Wisdom carry you toward the peaceful shores of sleep. The small hours of the morning bring a different kind of silence to the House of Wisdom. It is a time when the heat of the Baghdad sun has fully retreated, leaving behind a coolness that has seeped into the very stones of the walls. You stir, the gentle shift of the atmosphere pulling you back from the edge of dreams. The room is dim, lit only by the pale glow of the moon filtering through the high, arched window. You sit up slowly, feeling the texture of the linen sheets against your skin. There is no rush, no urgency to the movements of this hour. The city outside is hushed, the bustling markets and crowded streets, now nothing more than a memory of the day gone by. You reach for the small flint and steel resting on the bedside table. The strike is soft, a tiny spark that catches on the charred wick of the oil lamp. A warm amber glow expands, pushing back the shadows just enough to reveal the familiar objects of your private sanctuary. The scent of olive oil and beeswax fills the small space, a comforting and grounding aroma. A copper basin sits on a low wooden stand, the water inside reflecting the flickering flame. You pour a small amount of the liquid into your hands, the chill of it a sharp contrast to the warmth of the bed. It wakes the senses, washing away the last remnants of sleep and clearing the mind for the work ahead. The towel you use to dry your face is made of thick, unbleached cotton, its coarse texture a pleasant sensation against your skin. You dress in a simple robe of fine wool, the fabric weighted and soft. The garment is familiar, a second skin that provides warmth against the nocturnal chill. You tie the sash with a slow, deliberate knot, ensuring it is secure but not restrictive. Every action is a part of a long-standing pattern, a series of steps that prepare the body and the spirit for contemplation. In the corner of the room, a small charcoal brazier holds a few glowing embers. You add a handful of dried mint leaves to a pot of water, placing it on the heat to steep. The steam starts to rise, carrying the sharp, clean fragrance of the herbs into the room. It is a scent that clears the head, a companion to the quiet focus you seek. You move toward your study nook, a small alcove carved into the thick masonry of the wall. A low desk of polished cedar stands there, its face worn smooth by years of use. On it, your tools are laid out with precision. There are reed pens of various widths, a small knife for sharpening them, and a glass inkwell filled with deep black pigment. You select a sheet of paper, the material imported from the workshops of Samarkand. It is thick and cream-colored, with a slight grain that catches the ink perfectly. You run your hand over it, appreciating the craftsmanship required to produce such a fine medium. This paper will hold the thoughts and discoveries of the coming hours, preserving them for those who will read them long after you are gone. The inkwell contains a small nest of silk fibers, designed to hold the liquid and prevent it from spilling. You dip the tip of your reed pen into the ink, the nib soaking up just enough of the dark fluid. The first stroke on the paper is a thin, delicate line, the start of a geometric diagram. The scratch of the pen is the only noise in the room, a cadence that marks the passage of time. You are working on a commentary for a storied text on astronomy, a work that has traveled across deserts and mountains to reach this library. The diagrams represent the movements of the planets, their paths traced with mathematical precision. You follow the lines of the original author, checking the calculations and adding your own observations to the margins. The moonlight shifts across the floor, the silver light moving in a slow arc as the earth turns. It illuminates the shelves of books that line the walls, their leather spines glowing in the dimness. Each volume is a repository of knowledge, a testament to the collective wisdom of 100 different cultures. You feel a sense of connection to the scholars who wrote them, a bond that transcends time and distance. You take a sip of the mint tea, the warmth of the liquid spreading through your chest. It is a moment of pure stillness, a pause in the flow of thought. The city of Baghdad may be sleeping, but here, in the heart of the House of Wisdom, the pursuit of truth never truly ceases. The silence is not an absence of noise, but a presence of focus. A small brass celestial globe sits on the edge of the desk, its surface etched with the constellations of the zodiac. You give it a gentle push, watching as the spheres rotate within one another. It is a model of the universe as you understand it, a complex and beautiful system of motion. The light of the lamp glints off the polished metal, creating tiny stars of its own on the walls of the alcove. You turn your attention back to the manuscript, the words flowing more easily now. The ideas are clear, the logic sound. You are exploring the relationship between the angles of the stars and the seasons of the year, a study that has practical applications for both farmers and navigators. It is a reminder that the work you do here has a purpose beyond the walls of the library. The ink dries quickly on the page, the black letters standing out sharply against the cream-colored background. You use a small wooden ruler to draw a series of intersecting lines, the precision of the geometry a source of quiet satisfaction. There is a beauty in the order of the numbers, a clarity that provides a sense of peace. Outside, a soft breeze stirs the leaves of the citrus trees in the courtyard. You can hear the distant splash of the fountain, a constant pulse that underpins the quiet of the night. It is a soothing noise, a reminder of the life that continues even in the hours of rest. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of jasmine and orange blossom, drifting in through the open window. You pause to trim the wick of your lamp, the flame brightening as you remove the charred tip. The light is steady and calm, casting your shadow against the wall in a large, soft-edged shape. You feel a deep sense of belonging in this space, a realization that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The library is more than just a building. It is a sanctuary for the mind. You pick up a different pen, one with a broader nib, to write the headings of the new chapter. The calligraphy is an art form in itself, the curves and lines of the script flowing with a natural elegance. You take your time with each letter, ensuring that the proportions are correct and the spacing is even. The act of writing is a form of meditation, a way to center the thoughts and focus the will. As you work, you think of the vastness of the empire, a realm that stretches from the borders of China to the shores of the Atlantic. The House of Wisdom is the intellectual center of this realm, a place where the knowledge of the Greeks, the Persians, and the Indians is brought together and refined. You are a small part of this great project, a single voice in a chorus of scholars. The shadows in the room begin to soften, the deep murk of the night giving way to a more translucent grey. You realize that you have been working for hours, the time slipping away unnoticed in the intensity of your focus. The stack of completed pages has grown, a tangible record of the night's labor. You feel a sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride in the work you have produced. You lean back in your chair, stretching your muscles and letting out a long, slow breath. The tension of the work fades, replaced by a feeling of calm fatigue. You have done well, and the knowledge you have recorded will serve others in the days and years to come. The pursuit of wisdom is a journey without an end, but each step forward is a victory. The first hint of a lighter blue touches the eastern horizon, suggesting that the deepest part of the quiet hours is drawing to a close. The wooden chair makes a soft, complaining groan as you finally stand, your legs feeling the weight of the hours spent in study. You stretch your arms toward the high, vaulted ceiling, feeling the tension release from your shoulders and back. The stone floor is cool beneath your sandals, a sharp contrast to the warmth of the lamp that has been your companion for so long. You step away from the desk, leaving the scattered quills and the ink-stained parchment behind for a moment. The library is a cavern of stillness, the rows of shelves stretching away into the violet dimness of the early morning. Every step you take produces a faint, hollow echo that seems to travel through the stacks, whispering against the spines of 1,000 books. The scent of the place is unique, a blend of old leather, dried reeds, and the faint, persisting trace of wood smoke from the braziers. It is an atmosphere that speaks of time and the patient accumulation of human thought. You walk slowly, your hand brushing against the rough texture of the cedar wood as you pass. You reach the edge of the lamp's glow and pause, looking back at your workspace. The small flame flickers, casting long, dancing shadows that play across the floor and the lower shelves. It is the only point of light in this part of the hall, a tiny beacon in the surrounding gloom. With a gentle breath, you lean down and extinguish the wick, watching the small trail of smoke rise and vanish into the rafters. The room is plunged into a deeper shade of grey, but your eyes quickly adjust to the pale light filtering down from the high windows. There is a different kind of peace in this semi-obscurity, a feeling that the library itself is resting. You move toward the central corridor, the path familiar even in the low light. The House of Wisdom is vast, a labyrinth of knowledge that seems to grow and change with every passing year. You pass the section dedicated to medicine, where the scrolls are neatly arranged and labeled in a clear, precise hand. The silence here is profound, broken only by the occasional rustle of a curtain or the distant muffled call of a watchman. You feel like a ghost moving through these halls, a silent observer of the history that is stored within these walls. The knowledge of the past is all around you, waiting to be rediscovered by the scholars of the future. You reach the archway that leads to the inner courtyard and step out into the open. The atmosphere is noticeably cooler here, the pre-dawn chill pressing against your skin. The sky above is a deep velvety indigo, the stars beginning to fade as the first light of the sun approaches the horizon. In the center of the courtyard, the fountain continues its tireless labor, the water spilling over the edge of the marble basin with a soft, rhythmic splash. You walk toward it, the sound of your footsteps on the stone tiles muffled by the moisture in the atmosphere. The water is dark and still in the basin, reflecting the remaining stars like tiny, shimmering jewels. You dip your hands into the water, the coldness of it startling your senses, and washing away the last lingering traces of sleepiness. It is refreshing, a physical reminder of the world outside the library walls. You splash a little onto your face, the droplets clinging to your skin like morning dew. Around the courtyard, the citrus trees stand like silent sentinels, their leaves dark and glossy in the dim light. The fragrance of the orange blossoms is more intense now, a sweet, heavy scent that fills the lungs and calms the spirit. You take a deep breath, letting the aroma ground you in the present moment. You find a stone bench near the fountain and sit, letting your gaze wander upward to the sky. The transition of colors is subtle but steady, the deep blue slowly giving way to a pale, translucent violet. It is a time of great beauty, a moment of transition between the quiet of the late hours and the activity of the day. Near the edge of the garden you notice an astrolabe resting on a brass stand, left there perhaps by a colleague who was studying the stars earlier. Its polished surface catches the faint light, a testament to the ingenuity and skill of the craftsman who created it. You admire the precision of the engravings, the delicate lines that map the movements of the heavens. The garden itself is a place of quiet contemplation. The plants and flowers carefully chosen for their beauty and their medicinal properties. You see the silver-green leaves of the sage and the feathery fronds of the fennel, all silvered by the moonlight. There is a sense of order and harmony here, a reflection of the divine wisdom that governs the universe. You think about the scholars who have walked these paths before you, the great minds who have contributed to the treasury of knowledge housed within these walls. Their presence is felt in every scroll, every map, and every mathematical proof. You are part of a long and noble tradition, a link in a chain that stretches back through the centuries. A small bird stirs in the branches of a nearby pomegranate tree, letting out a single tentative chirp. It is the first sign of the waking city, a herald of the busy day that is soon to begin. You listen as other birds join in, their songs creating a delicate tapestry of noise that fills the courtyard. The light in the east is growing stronger now, a thin ribbon of gold appearing along the horizon. The shadows of the pillars and the trees begin to lengthen and sharpen, their forms becoming more defined against the stone floor. You watch as the world slowly comes back into focus, the details of the architecture and the garden emerging from the gloom. You rise from the bench, feeling a sense of renewal and purpose. The work you have done tonight is important, but it is only a small part of the larger quest for understanding. There is always more to learn, more to discover, and more to share with others. You walk back toward the entrance of the library, your steps lighter and more confident. The House of Wisdom is awakening, the first signs of activity beginning to stir in the distant corners of the building. You hear the faint sound of a door opening, the shuffle of feet on the stone floor, the low murmur of voices. You pass a small side chamber where the map makers work, the large sheets of parchment spread out on the tables like frozen landscapes. The tools of their trade, the compasses, the rulers, the fine-tipped pens, are laid out in neat rows, ready for the day's labor. You pause for a moment to admire a map of the coastline, the intricate details of the harbors and the islands, a work of art in themselves. As you move through the corridors, you notice the way the light changes, the pale gray of the pre-dawn turning into a warm golden glow. The library is transformed, the dusty shelves and the worn floorboards taking on a new life in the morning sun. It is a place of constant renewal, a sanctuary where the mind can find both challenge and peace. You reach the main hall, where the high windows are now flooded with light. The dust motes dance in the sunbeams, a silent ballet that mirrors the complexity of the thoughts and ideas that fill this space. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be here, to be a part of this great intellectual endeavor. You make your way toward a small, quiet room near the back of the building, a place where you can rest for a short while before the full activity of the day begins. The room is simple, with a low bed and a small table, but it is a welcome refuge after the long hours of the night. You lie down, The coolness of the sheets a comfort to your tired body. The sounds of the library continue to drift in through the open door, a soothing background noise that lulls you towards sleep. You think of the work that lies ahead, the new questions to be explored, the new truths to be uncovered. The pursuit of wisdom is a lifelong journey, a path that requires both patience and persistence. You are ready for the challenges and the rewards that the new day will bring, confident in the knowledge that you are contributing to a legacy that will endure for generations to come. The morning light continues to brighten, the golden rays reaching into every corner of the room. You close your eyes, letting the warmth of the sun and the quiet of the library wash over you. The city of Baghdad is fully awake now, its streets filled with the noise and bustle of daily life. But here, within the walls of the House of Wisdom, the peace remains. As you drift toward a light and restful slumber, your mind remains occupied with the elegant curves of the calligraphy you penned and the silent geometry of the stars you observed. The transition from the focused labor of the quiet hours to the soft embrace of rest is seamless and natural. You are at peace with your work and with the world, knowing that the light of knowledge will continue to shine even as you take your well-earned rest. The light has moved across the lime-washed floor, marking the passage of the midday hour while you rested. You rise slowly, the linen of your tunic feeling light against your skin, and step toward the basin of cool water in the corner. The ceramic bowl is glazed in a deep turquoise, its exterior reflecting the bright square of the window above. As you splash the water onto your face, the chill is a sudden and welcome clarity. The atmosphere within this small chamber remains temperate, protected by the thick mud brick walls that have stood for decades. You take a moment to smooth your hair and adjust your belt, preparing to return to the heart of the great library. Stepping out into the hallway, the transition is marked by the shift in the hum of the building. Where the early hours were defined by a solitary silence, the midday is filled with a soft collective industry. You hear the distant murmur of voices in the lecture halls and the steady, persistent scratching of pens from the translation wings. Walking toward the central courtyard, you pass under a series of high arched doorways. Each one is decorated with intricate plasterwork, geometric patterns that seem to shift and evolve as you move past them. The craftsmanship is a testament to the skill of the builders who raised these walls under the caliph's direction. In the courtyard, the heat of the Baghdad sun is held at bay by the clever design of the space. A central fountain provides a constant, delicate splashing, the droplets catching the light like tiny, scattered diamonds. The moisture in the atmosphere here is a relief, cooling the skin and calming the spirit. Tall date palms cast long, feathered shadows across the tiled ground, offering patches of deep shade for those moving between the wings. You notice a group of younger students gathered near the water, their heads bowed over a single manuscript. They speak in low, respectful tones, their debate as fluid and constant as the fountain itself. Moving toward the western wing, you enter the hall dedicated to the translation of Greek texts. Here the desks are laden with rolls of parchment and thick stacks of paper, a material that has transformed the way knowledge is preserved. The scent of the place is a mixture of old leather, fresh ink, and the faint, sweet aroma of cedarwood. At one desk, an elderly scholar is meticulously comparing a Syriac manuscript with a Greek original. His movements are slow and deliberate, his hands steady as he makes a small note in the margin of his working draft. There is a profound sense of continuity in his labor, a bridge being built across centuries and languages. Further down the hall, the paper makers are at work, preparing the smooth, cream-colored sheets that the House of Wisdom is famous for. You watch as they press the pulp into frames, the wet fibers interlocking to create a surface that is both durable and elegant. It is a craft of patience, requiring a keen eye and a gentle touch. Stacked nearby are finished reams of paper, each sheet uniform and perfect. You run a hand over the top layer, feeling the slight grain and the coolness of the material. This paper will soon carry the thoughts of philosophers, and the calculations of mathematicians to the furthest reaches of the empire. In the Scriptorium, the calligraphers are in the midst of their daily tasks. Their pens move with a practiced grace, forming the elegant curves of the Arabic script with a precision that borders on the miraculous. Each letter is a work of art, balanced and harmonious within the structure of the page. You stop to observe a scribe who is illuminating a copy of a medical treatise. He uses a fine brush to apply gold leaf to an initial letter, the metal shimmering in the sunlight that filters through the high windows. The dedication required for such work is immense, a quiet devotion to the beauty of the written word. The breeze from the wind catchers overhead is steady and refreshing. These tall towers, reaching high above the roofline, draw the cooler upper currents down into the heart of the building. It is an ingenious piece of engineering, ensuring that the labor of the mind is never hindered by the oppressive heat of the city. You find a vacant niche near a large window that overlooks the Tigris River. From this vantage point, you can see the busy waterway, the dhows and barges moving slowly through the shimmering current. The city beyond the walls is a sprawl of activity, but here the peace is absolute and undisturbed. On the table before you lies a treatise on optics that you have been studying for several days. You open the cover, the leather hinges creaking softly in the quiet of the niche. The diagrams inside are complex, showing the way light bends through glass and water, a puzzle that you are eager to solve. As you read, the hours begin to slip away, measured only by the changing angle of the sun. The clarity of the prose is a joy, the author's logic unfolding with a transparency that makes the difficult concepts feel attainable. You make small, careful notes on a scrap of paper, your own thoughts joining the conversation. A servant passes by, carrying a tray of small cups filled with chilled fruit sherbet. He offers you one, and the taste of pomegranate and rosewater is an explosion of freshness on your tongue. It is a small kindness, a reminder of the care that is taken to sustain the scholars in their work. The afternoon light begins to take on a deeper, more golden hue, casting long shadows across the library floor. The intensity of the day's labor is softening, the frantic pace of the morning giving way to a more reflective, contemplative mood. You see other scholars leaning back from their desks, stretching their limbs and rubbing their eyes. You decide to take a short walk through the botanical gardens that line the southern edge of the complex. The garden is a living library, filled with plants from every corner of the known world. Each specimen is labeled and tended with the same care given to the most precious manuscripts. The smell of jasmine and citrus blossoms is thick in the atmosphere, a heady perfume that lingers in the still passages. You walk slowly along the gravel paths, the crunch of the stones beneath your sandals a grounding, rhythmic pulse. The greenery is a feast for the eyes, a vibrant contrast to the tan and ochre of the city walls. You stop beside a bed of medicinal herbs, their leaves silver green and pungent. These plants will eventually be dried and processed in the pharmacy, turned into tinctures and salves to heal the sick. It is a reminder that the knowledge gathered here is not just for the sake of theory, but for the betterment of all people. Near the back of the garden, a small stream has been diverted from the main irrigation channel to feed a series of lily ponds. The water is still and dark, reflecting the cooling sky and the overhanging branches of a willow tree. You sit on a stone bench for a moment, letting the silence of the garden wash over you. The cycle of the day is moving toward its conclusion, but the work of the House of Wisdom never truly ceases, even as the sun prepares to dip below the horizon. New ideas are being born and old truths are being rediscovered. You feel a deep sense of belonging in this place, a small but vital part of a grand and enduring tradition. You look up at the sky, where the first few stars are beginning to show themselves against the deepening blue. The celestial map is unfolding once more, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of the human perspective. Yet, through study and reflection, that smallness can be expanded, reaching out to touch the infinite. As you prepare to return to your quarters for the evening meal, you take one last look at the great dome of the library. It stands as a beacon of light in the heart of Baghdad, a testament to the power of the human intellect and the enduring quest for understanding. The transition from the active labor of the day to the quiet reflection of the evening is a natural and welcome shift. Your mind is full of the things you have seen and learned, the intricate details of the manuscripts and the simple beauty of the garden. You walk back through the darkened corridors, the flickering lamps casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The peace of the library is a constant companion, a sanctuary that remains unchanged by the passage of time. You reach your room and find that a small lamp has been lit for you, its flame a steady, comforting presence. You sit at your table for a moment, looking out at the city lights as they begin to twinkle in the distance. The day has been long and productive, a journey through the landscapes of the mind and the wonders of the physical world. You feel a sense of profound satisfaction, a quiet joy that comes from a day well spent in the pursuit of wisdom. The challenges of the work are many, but the rewards are far greater, a constant source of inspiration and renewal. You are ready for the rest that the evening will bring, knowing that the new day will offer even more opportunities for discovery. The city of Baghdad is settling into its evening measure, the noise of the markets fading into a low, distant hum. Within the walls of the House of Wisdom, the silence is deep and restorative, a space where the mind can find both rest and clarity. You close your eyes, letting the events of the day drift through your thoughts like leaves on a slow-moving stream. The transition to sleep is a gentle descent, a natural conclusion to the focused activity of the day. You are at peace with yourself and with the world, confident in the knowledge that the light of wisdom will continue to shine, illuminating the path for all who seek it. The journey of the scholar is a lifelong endeavor, a path that you are honored to walk, one quiet step at a time. The oil lamp flickers, casting a warm amber glow across the small chamber. Within this space, the atmosphere is filled with the faint, sweet scent of cedarwood and the dry, earthy aroma of parchment. You sit for a moment, letting the stillness of the room envelop you, a stark contrast to the busy activity of the library. The city of Baghdad, outside your window, has softened its voice. The clamor of the markets and the calls of the street vendors have faded, replaced by a low, melodic hum that seems to rise from the very stones of the city. It is a time for quiet contemplation, for looking inward and reflecting on the day's discoveries. You reach out and touch the smooth, cool plane of a brass astrolabe resting on your table. Its intricate engravings, representing the movements of the celestial bodies, feel like a secret language beneath your fingertips. This instrument is a bridge between the earth and the heavens, a tool for mapping the measureless reaches of the sky. The light from the lamp dances on the polished metal, creating tiny sparks of light that mirror the stars outside. You think of the scholars who came before you, who sat in rooms like this one, pondering the same mysteries. Their voices, though silent now, live on in the manuscripts you have spent the day cataloguing and preserving. The transition from the active labor of the day to the quiet reflection of the evening is a natural and welcome shift. Your mind is full of the things you have seen and learned, the intricate details of the manuscripts and the simple beauty of the garden. You walk back through the corridors, the flickering lamps casting long dancing shadows on the walls. The peace of the library is a constant companion, a sanctuary that remains unchanged by the passage of time. You reach your room and find that a small lamp has been lit for you, its flame a steady, comforting presence. You sit at your table for a moment, looking out at the city lights as they twinkle in the distance. The day has been long and productive, a journey through the landscapes of the mind and the wonders of the physical world. You feel a sense of profound satisfaction, a quiet joy that comes from a day well spent in the pursuit of wisdom. The challenges of the work are many, but the rewards are far greater, a constant source of inspiration and renewal. You are ready for the rest that the evening will bring, knowing that the new day will offer even more opportunities for discovery. The city of Baghdad is easing into its evening measure, the noise of the markets fading into a low, distant hum. Within the walls of the House of Wisdom, the silence is deep and restorative, a space where the mind can find both rest and clarity. You close your eyes, letting the events of the day drift through your thoughts like leaves on a slow-moving stream. The transition to sleep is a gentle descent, a natural conclusion to the focused activity of the day. You are at peace with yourself and with the city, confident in the knowledge that the light of wisdom will continue to shine. The journey of the scholar is a lifelong endeavor, a path that you are honored to walk, one quiet step at a time. The coolness of the evening air through the open window is a gentle caress, carrying with it the scent of jasmine and the distant murmur of the river. You find yourself drawn to the balcony, where the sky is a deep, velvety blue, peppered with 1,000 brilliant stars. Each star is a point of light in the great map of the universe, a guide for travelers and a source of wonder for seekers of truth. You stand there for a long time, watching the slow movement of the constellations as they traverse the heavens. The silence of the evening is profound, a stillness that seems to reach out and touch the very edges of the universe. You feel a sense of connection to the cosmos, a realization that you are part of a much larger story. The House of Wisdom is not just a building, but a symbol of the human quest for understanding, a beacon that shines across the centuries. You return to your room, the soft glow of the lamp a welcoming sight. You prepare for sleep with a sense of gratitude, thankful for the opportunities that the day has provided. The simple acts of washing and preparing your bed are performed with a mindful deliberation, each movement a part of the evening's cycle. You lie down and feel the softness of the linens against your skin, the weight of the blankets a comforting embrace. The room is filled with a sense of peace and security, a sanctuary where you can truly rest and recharge. Your thoughts begin to slow, the images of the day fading into a soft, hazy blur. You are drifting into a state of deep relaxation, where the boundaries between the waking world and the world of dreams begin to dissolve. The silence of the library is a lullaby, a gentle melody that guides you toward the shores of sleep. You feel a sense of profound contentment, a quiet joy that fills your heart and mind. The work of the day is done, and the new day is yet to come. You are at rest, in the heart of Baghdad, within the walls of the House of Wisdom. The light of the stars continues to shine, a constant presence in the ever-changing tapestry of the universe. You are a part of that tapestry, a thread woven into the fabric of history and knowledge. As you drift deeper into sleep, you carry with you the wisdom of the ages, the stories of the scholars, and the secrets of the stars. The journey continues even in the quiet hours of the evening, as your mind explores the landscapes of your dreams. You are safe, you are at peace, and you are exactly where you need to be. The flame of the lamp burns low, its light a soft golden ember in the dimness of the room. The shadows on the walls are still and silent, like guardians watching over your rest. You breathe deeply and slowly, the cadence of your breath a mirror to the pulse of the city outside. The river Tigris flows on, its waters reflecting the light of the moon as they journey toward the sea. The palm trees in the courtyard sway gently in the breeze, their fronds a soft rustle in the silence of the evening. The world is at rest, and you are at rest with it. The House of Wisdom stands as a testament to the power of the human spirit, a place where the search for knowledge never ends. Even in the depths of sleep, the quest continues as the mind processes the lessons of the day and prepares for the challenges of tomorrow. You are a scholar, a seeker, and a dreamer, and your journey is just beginning. The stars above Baghdad watch over you, their light a constant reminder of the beauty and the mystery of the universe. You are surrounded by the wisdom of the past and the promise of the future, a bridge between the two. Sleep now, and let the quiet power of the House of Wisdom guide you through the evening. The shadows of the courtyard have stretched to their fullest extent, merging into a single soft blanket of indigo. High above, the moon hangs like a silver crescent, its light catching the tips of the minarets and the domes of the great city. You listen to the distant, rhythmic creak of a water wheel on the river, a sound that has persisted for generations, marking the passage of time in this storied place. In the corner of your room, the small wooden chest containing your inkstones and brushes rests in the half-light. These simple tools are the instruments of your craft, the means by which thoughts are transformed into enduring records. They possess a quiet dignity, having served you well through the long hours of transcription and translation. You think of the Samarkand paper, smooth and resilient, waiting for the first stroke of your pen in the morning. Each sheet is a blank horizon, full of potential and the promise of new understanding. The knowledge that you will return to this work brings a sense of steady purpose to your heart. The incense burner on the low shelf has cooled, but a faint, lingering trace of sandalwood still hangs in the atmosphere. It is a clean, grounding scent that helps to anchor your thoughts as you drift closer to the edge of slumber. Every element of this room, from the woven rug on the floor to the arched ceiling above, is designed for focus and tranquility. You shift slightly beneath the covers, finding the perfect position of ease as your muscles release the tension of the day. The weight of your body seems to merge with the bed, a feeling of being completely supported and safe. Outside, a night bird calls once, a clear, solitary note that punctuates the silence before fading away. The vastness of the empire, with its bustling ports and crowded caravansaries, feels very far away from this quiet cell of learning. Here, the only thing that matters is the pursuit of truth and the preservation of the human story. You are a guardian of that story, a humble link in a chain that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. Your mind turns one last time to the complex geometry of the star charts you studied earlier. The elegant curves and precise angles represent a divine order, a logic that governs the movement of all things. There is a great comfort in this order, a sense that even in the face of uncertainty, there is a path to be followed. The light of the city has dimmed further as more and more households extinguish their lamps for the night. Baghdad is a city of millions, yet in this moment it feels as intimate as a shared secret. The pulse of the city is slow and steady, a heartbeat that matches your own as you sink deeper into the pillow. You are no longer a scholar struggling with a difficult passage or a translator seeking the perfect word. You are simply a soul at rest, partaking in the universal necessity of sleep. The house of wisdom cradles you in its stone embrace, offering a sanctuary where the spirit can roam free. The transition is almost complete, the waking world receding like the tide leaving the shore. What remains is a sense of profound stillness, a clarity that only comes when the noise of the day is finally silenced. You are ready to cross the threshold into the realm of dreams, where the wisdom of the day will be transformed into the insights of tomorrow. The stars remain your constant companions, their light a silent benediction over the house and all who dwell within it. The river continues its journey, the wind continues its whisper, and the city continues its sleep. You are part of this measure, this cycle of light and shadow, and you find your peace within it. The final embers in the small copper brazier give off a faint orange glow, casting long, wavering shapes against the plastered walls of your sleeping cell. You watch the way the light dances, a slow and hypnotic movement that draws your eyes toward the threshold of slumber, where the edges of the room become soft and indistinct. The heat from the coals is a gentle presence, a fading warmth that mirrors the closing of the day's long and fruitful labors. The cool touch of the linen sheets feels refreshing against your skin, a stark contrast to the humid warmth of the afternoon hours spent in the crowded translation halls. It is a texture you have known for many years, familiar and reliable in its simplicity, providing a sense of grounding as you let go of the physical world. The fabric smells of sun-dried grass and a hint of lavender, a soothing scent that aids in the quietening of your busy mind. Your thoughts drift to the ink-stained fingers of your colleagues, men who have spent their entire lives chasing the meaning of a single Greek verb or a complex Persian metaphor. There is a shared bond in this quiet labor, a silent understanding that transcends the boundaries of language and faith, uniting you all in a common purpose. You feel a deep sense of belonging within these walls, a part of a legacy that will endure long after the lamps have been extinguished. Somewhere in the distance, the muffled clip-clop of a horse's hooves on the stone street echoes through the stillness of the late hour. It is a lonely noise, a reminder of the few who still move through the city while the rest of the empire dreams, perhaps a messenger carrying news from a far-off province. The echo fades slowly, leaving the silence even more profound than before, a velvet blanket that covers the house and all who dwell within. You imagine the great library floors below you, filled with the wisdom of 10,000 years, all resting in the dimness of the midnight hours, the scrolls of Alexandria, the codices of Byzantium, and the sutras of the East all breathe together in the silence, their secrets held safe within the cedar-lined chests. They are the treasures of the mind, more valuable than any gold or jewels, and you are their humble custodian for a brief moment in time. The fragrance of old parchment, a mix of dried hide and cedar oil, remains a ghostly presence in the room, even though your books are closed. It is the perfume of your vocation, a scent that has seeped into your very clothes and hair over the decades, marking you as a man of letters. This smell is a comfort to you, a familiar friend that tells you that you are home and that all is well in your small corner of the universe. You feel the tension leaving your jaw, the muscles around your eyes relaxing as you stop trying to see into the murk of the room. There is nothing more to be done today, no more errors to correct, no more translations to refine, and no more questions to answer. The work is finished, and the mind is finally granted permission to rest, to let go of the logic and the grammar that have occupied it for so long. The Tigris flows with a steady measure, its waters carrying the stories of 1,000 miles toward the sea, a pulse that beats beneath the city's skin. You can almost feel the pull of the current, a gentle, insistent force that mirrors the way sleep is pulling at your consciousness, drawing you down into the deep. It is a natural flow, one that requires no effort on your part, only a willingness to be carried along by the stream of time. A soft breeze stirs the heavy tapestry hanging over the doorway, causing the fabric to sigh against the wood with a sound like a whispered secret. It brings with it the faint smell of jasmine from a hidden courtyard, a sweetness that softens the atmosphere and makes the air feel light and fragrant. The movement of the cloth is a slow wave, a visual lullaby that helps to guide you further into the realm of dreams. You are a single point in a constellation of thinkers, a tiny flame in a great hall of light that illuminates the path of human understanding. This realization does not make you feel small, but rather part of something immense and enduring, a link in a chain that stretches across the centuries. There is a great peace in this connection, a sense that your life has a meaning that goes beyond your own personal desires and fears. The shadows in the corners of the room have grown deeper, swallowing the familiar shapes of your desk and the low stool where you sit to study. The world of objects is fading, replaced by the fluid and shifting landscapes of the inner mind, where the rules of geometry and logic no longer apply. You are moving into a space where anything is possible, where the wisdom of the past can meet the imagination of the future. You remember the first time you held a pen, the strange weight of the reed and the way the ink pooled on the page like a dark mirror. That curiosity has never left you, even as your hair has turned to silver and your steps have slowed with the passage of the years. It is a flame that burns brightly within you, a love of learning that is as essential to your being as the breath in your lungs. The architecture of the House of Wisdom is a physical manifestation of logic, its arches and domes reflecting the harmony of the spheres in their perfect proportions. Even in the dimness, you can feel the balance of the building, a structural grace that lends a sense of security to your rest as you lie within its embrace. The stone is cool and solid, a foundation that has stood for generations and will stand for many more, sheltering the seekers of truth. Your breathing has become a slow, effortless cycle, a mirror to the quietude that has taken hold of the house and the city beyond its gates. Each inhalation is a gift of peace. Each exhalation a release of the day's remaining concerns, leaving you lighter and more at ease with every passing moment. You are sinking into the mattress, your body becoming one with the bed as you surrender to the necessity of sleep. The stars above Baghdad are the same stars that guided the desert travelers 1,000 years ago, constant and unchanging in their celestial dance. They are the silent witnesses to the rise and fall of kings. Yet they look down upon your quiet cell with the same impartial clarity they show to the caliph in his palace. There is a comfort in their distance, a reminder that the troubles of the day are small in the face of the infinite. You find yourself at the edge of a great calm lake of thought, where the ripples of the day are finally stilled by the touch of the night. The water is clear and deep, reflecting the immensity of the heavens in its mirror-like plane, inviting you to step in and be cleansed of your weariness. It is a place of profound stillness, where the only noise is the heartbeat of the universe, pulsing in time with your own. There is a profound gratitude in your heart for the tools of your trade, the simple reeds and pigments that allow the mind to speak across the vast distances of time. They are the humble instruments of a grand symphony, one that you have been privileged to play a part in, adding your own small note to the chorus. This gratitude is a warmth that fills your chest, a golden light that glows in the center of your being. The silence of the room is not empty, but full of the presence of the books that surround you on every side, their spines glowing faintly in the dying light. They are like sleeping friends, their voices hushed for the moment, waiting for the return of the sun to speak once more to those who would listen. You are never truly alone in this house, for you are surrounded by the greatest minds the world has ever known. You feel a slight shift in the atmosphere as the pre-dawn chill begins to creep into the stone, prompting you to pull the wool blanket higher over your shoulders. The extra warmth is a comfort, a cocoon that shields you from the world outside and allows you to drift even deeper into the softness of your dreams. The world is waiting for the dawn, but for now there is only the quiet and the warmth and the peace of the late hour. The transition is effortless now, a sliding into the depths of a dreamless and restorative peace that washes over you like a gentle wave. You are carried away on a tide of quietude, leaving the shores of the waking world behind as you enter the sanctuary of the mind. There is no more thought, no more memory, only the pure and simple experience of being at rest in a place of safety. The house remains a beacon of knowledge in the heart of the caliphate, standing firm against the passage of the hours and the changing of the seasons. And within its walls you rest, a scholar of the ages, finding your place in the long history of human thought and the eternal cycle of the stars. The river flows, the wind whispers, and the city sleeps, all held in the steady hand of a peace that passes all understanding. Thank you for walking through history with me tonight. Until next time on Quiet History, sleep well.